Yes, you did read the title correctly. James and the Giant Peach has lore, at least in the musical. To start explaining this, allow me to introduce you to the character of Laughlord. He's the narrator of the show, who shows up periodically as smaller characters and is the only character who breaks the fourth wall to address the audience. Now, this isn't too out of the ordinary. Plenty of shows have narrators who can actively talk to the viewer, but Laughlord is a bit different due to two different things. He, one, causes the inciting incident, and is a grown up version of James. So let's deal with the latter first, since that's a bit more straightforward to explain. The production actually spells it out pretty clearly in the closing number, where Laughlord directly tells us when James grew up, he went on to tell the world about his adventures on the giant peach and tell them about his bug family. Laughlord also says that that show is what the audience has just witnessed, and he uses that as final reasoning that everything he just talked about was completely true and happened because it happened to him. And that's pretty direct evidence that, yeah, these are the same people. Also, for a smaller thing within the story that Laughlord is telling, James does end up developing some of Laughlord's mannerisms as the story goes on. So I think we can consider that pretty solid. James and Laughlord are the same person. Cool. But then how is Laughlord able to be an active player in the story? To make sense of that, we have to go and look back at the first act. Laughlord appears to James when his aunts leave him behind, and he tells him how to make a magic potion that's going to somehow make his life better. After Laughlord leaves, James spills the potion, some bugs eat it, and somehow they transfer that magic to an old peach tree, then causing a huge peach to grow and the bugs to become sentient and human sized. Cool. So, how is Laughlord able to do that? How is he able to appear as an independent character in the story he's telling that already hypothetically happened? Well, on one hand, maybe he's standing in for another magical being that actually did all of this. The question there is why? It's one thing for him to stand in for smaller characters. You know, he shows up as a random pilot, but the magical being that turned his entire life around is a pretty big character to gloss over. And the second explanation for this is where you're probably going to think I've lost my marbles. The other idea is that Laughlord created a time loop. Yeah. So, hypothetically, Laughlord somehow traveled back in time to help his younger self by providing him with magic that therefore caused the events that made James grow up into his older counterpart. I know this sounds insane for a musical based on a children's book about a peach with a semi stop motion film that gave kids nightmares, but it's not too crazy when you put it in context. We have to remember that Laughlord is straight up a magical being with a book full of potions and wish makers, as he explains when he first meets James. Is it really all that strange to extrapolate that he could have a recipe for time travel? Plus, that would explain why he has knowledge of the future when he's interacting with other characters. Especially when you consider how he interacts with the aunts on the cruise ship by specifying that he's in disguise instead of just standing in for a random waiter. But that's a whole nother can of worms I don't feel like getting into. We even have a very convenient reason for why James could end up getting magic later in life. After all, he ate some of the magic peach within the story, and the bugs earlier set a precedent for transferring magic from one thing to another, presumably by eating it. So then, where does that leave us? Well, in a stable time loop, where Laughlord gets magic from the giant peach, uses said magic to help his younger self escape his abusers, and ending up kicking off many formative events in his own life that then cause him to become a showman and then make a musical about his own life. Heh. Thank you for listening to my insane ramblings about this show. It's a bit of an in joke within my cast of it that there's some time travel shenanigans going on, and I just wanted to talk about it more since, upon further digging, I guess, there's a lot more backing to a secondary storyline in this show, and I just thought it was kind of neat. And if you made it this far, you must have thought it was kind of neat too. So, I don't normally make stuff like this, so I hope it was interesting. Yeah.